morning, boys and girls. I'm going to continue our chapter in Junie B. Jones and a Little Monkey Business. Remember that this is written by Barbara Park, and this is the second book in the series. It says the chapter I'm reading today is chapter 3 and probably chapter 4. Let's see how long it is. And it says, a very wonderful thing. Yesterday, a very wonderful thing happened. And it's called, I had pie for dinner. Just pie and that's all. That's because my mother went to the hospital to have the baby, and Daddy and Grandma Miller went with her. And so me and my grandpa got to stay at his house all by ourselves, and no one even babysitted us. And guess what? Grandpa smoked a real live cigar right inside the house, and Grandma didn't yell, "Go outside with that thing, Frank." And after that, my grandpa gave me a piggyback ride, and he let me put on Grandma Miller's new hat with a long brown feather. And also I got to walk in her red high heels. And so this is a picture of her and then Grandpa Miller. You can tell her shoes. She thinks she's very fancy, doesn't she? Only then I fell down in the kitchen, and so I quick took them off. "Hey, I could crack my head open in these dumb things," I said very loud. After that, I opened up the refrigerator because I was hungry from playing, that's why. "Hey, guess what? There's a big fat lemon pie in here, Frank," I hollered. And so then Grandpa Miller got down 2 plates, and then me and him ate the big fat lemon pie for our dinner. Just pie, and that's all. And we're not even going to get in trouble because we're going to tell Grandma that her cat ate it. And here's another very fun thing. I got to sleep in Grandpa Miller's guest room. First, I put on my PJs with the feet in them, and then my grandpa watched me brush my new front tooth, and he tucked me into the big guest bed. "Sweet dreams, Junie B," he said, except for then I got a little bit of scared in me. "Yeah, only guess what, Grandpa," I said. "It's very dark in this big room, and so there might be hidey things in here." Grandpa looked all around the room and also in the closet. "Nope, no hidey things in here," he said. After that, he left on the hall light for me, so my imagination wouldn't run wild. Except I didn't sleep that good, because there was a drooly guy with claws in my bed, I think. And so this morning, my eyes felt very saggy. Only then I sniffed something that woke them right up. And its name was Delicious Waffles. Grandpa Miller cooked them for me, and he let me pour on my own syrup, and he didn't yell, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." And after that, me and him played until it was time for kindergarten. Except before I left, the funnest thing of all happened. My Grandma Miller came home, and she said that Mother had a baby, and it was the boy kind. And then me and her and my grandpa all did a big giant hug, and Grandma Miller picked me up and she swinged me in the air. "And you're just going to love him, Junie B," she said. "Your new brother is the cutest little monkey I've ever seen." Then my eyes got very wide. "He is? Really?" I said. Grandma Miller put me down, and then she started talking to my grandpa. "Wait till you see him, Frank," she said. "He's got the longest little fingers and toes." I tugged on her dress. "How long, Grandma?" I said. "Longer than mine?" But Grandma just kept on talking. "And his hair, Frank, my word, he's got oodles and oodles of thick black hair." I pulled on my grandma's arm. "How come, Grandma? How come he's got hair?" I asked. "I thought little babies were supposed to be baldies." But still my grandma didn't answer me. "And he's big too, Frank. He's much bigger than any of the other babies in the hospital. And you should feel how tightly he grabs onto your fingers when you—" And just then I stamped my foot very hard. "Hey, I want some answers down here, Helen. He's my baby too, you know." Grandma Miller frowned at me because I'm not supposed to call her Helen, I think. "Sorry," I said, kind of quiet. The Grandma Miller bended down next to me, and so I didn't have to yell anymore. "Are you telling me the truth, Grandma?" I said. Is my brother really the cutest little monkey you ever saw? For really and honest and truly? Then my Grandma Miller hugged me very tight. Yes, little girl, she whispered in my ear, for really and honest and truly. After that, she picked me up again, and me and her twirled all around the kitchen. So I want you to think just a little bit and predict. What do you think Junie B is thinking right now? What is she thinking? Some of you have had new baby brothers or sisters recently. What did you think? Okay, so she's thinking something. Let's see what happens. Chapter 4 is Hoppy and Russell. My room in kindergarten is named Room 9. I have two bestest friends in that place. One of them has the name of Lucille. Lucille sits right exactly next to me. She has a red chair and also little red fingernails, which are very glossy. My other bestest friend is named Grace. Me and that Grace sit together on the school bus, except for not today. We didn't, because today Grandpa Miller drove me. Then he walked to room 9 with me and he waved at my teacher. Her name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I like Mrs., and that's all. When I first walked into my room, Lucille was looking at that Grace's brand new shoes, and their name was Pink High Tops. Hey, Grace, those new shoes look very beautiful on you, I said. But that dumb Grace didn't even say thank you to me. Grace is angry at you, said Lucille. She said she rode that bus today and you weren't even there to save her a seat, and she had to sit next to an icky kid. Right, Grace? Grace bobbed her head up and down. Yes, only I couldn't help it, Grace, I said. That's because I stayed at my Grandpa Miller's all night, and there's no bus at that place. And so he had to drive me here today. Then I tried to hold that Grace's hand, only she quick pulled it away. That's not very nice of you, Grace, I said. And so guess what? Now I'm not going to tell you my special secret. That's when that Grace gave me a poopy head. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll read that again. That's when that Grace called me a poopy head. Lucille held my hand. I don't think you're a poopy head, Junie B, she said. And so you can tell me your special secret, and I won't tell anybody, not even Grace. That's when that Grace kicked Lucille in the leg. And so Lucille pushed her down, and Mrs. had to come pull them off each other. I raised my hand very polite. I wasn't involved, I said to Mrs. And so this is a picture. So when I'm thinking about this, they're not thinking when at all. They're not getting along. They're not looking for a way to solve their problem, are they? So they're not being very nice to each other at all, are they? Okay, so let's see what happens. And I want to show you the eyes of the teacher, Mrs. She doesn't believe Junie B. She thinks she's involved. My guess is she sometimes is involved. After that, we had to sit down and do some work. It was called Printing Our Numbers, only I couldn't do mine that good because Lucille kept on talking to me. That's why. Come on, Junie B, she said in her whispering voice. Tell me your special secret. I won't tell, I promise. Yes, only I can't, Lucille, I said, because no talking to your neighbor, remember? Then Mrs. snapped her fingers at me. See, Lucille, I told you no talking to your neighbor, I hollered. Now I got snapped at. Just then a boy named Jim said, shh, to me. Shh, yourself, big fat Jim, I said back. After that, Mrs. stood next to me until I finished my work. Then I got all done and she collected it. That made me happy inside because guess what comes after work? Something very fun. That's what. And its name is show and tell. Mrs. stood next to her desk. Who has something interesting to share with the class today, she said. Then my heart got very pumpy, because I had the most special secret in the whole wide world. I raised my hand way high in the air. Ooh, ooh, I hollered real loud. Me, me, me. Mrs. shook her head at me because I'm not supposed to say ooh, 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 and me, me. She called on William. He is a crybaby and boy in my class, and I can beat him up, I think. William, said Mrs., since you raised your hand so politely, you may go first. And so then William carried a big paper bag to the front of the room, and he took out a jar of 2 dead crickets. So that's a picture. Except for William didn't know they were dead. He just thought they were sleeping. Jump, Hoppy. Jump, Russell, said William. Then he tapped the glass. Hey, wake up in there. After that, William started shaking the jar all over the place, and he wouldn't stop. Wake up, I said, he shouted. Then Hoppy and Russell started falling all apart, and Mrs. had to take the jar away. That's when William started to cry, and he had to go to the nurse's office to lie down. And so then I raised my hand way high in the air because guess what? My show and tell was way better than 2 dead crickets. So the next chapter, which I'm stopping here, is called Monkey Business. So she's ready to do show and tell. Okay. All right. We'll finish it later. Have a great day.